Good evening, good evening, good evening, kings and queens of the land. Good evening. Good evening to ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to good evening to the liberated zones in Africa. We mention these zones because we want history to know that at this stage in 2025, today is the 12th, at this stage, 12th of July 2025, only three countries in Africa were liberated from colonialism. President Abdurrahman Tiad of Niger, salute. President Assimi Goita of Mali, salute. President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, salute. Salute to all the lions of the Sahel, taking up power using force, the only weapon that the enemy understands. Thank you for joining. Let me check who is joining us. Today, Victor Shongwe is the first in class. Thank you very much for joining. So we mentioned this and is saying greetings to the royalty. Thank you very much. Greetings to all the people. So we mentioned the zones, the liberated zones, so that history can record. There was load shedding. People in middle class who are in towns, people who are in towns think load shedding does not exist anymore. Load shedding does exist, and we do have it in villages every day. There's not even a single day where we don't have load shedding. In our area, we've got load shedding for at least minimum of 2 hours a day, every day. So most people talk like there's no load shedding anymore. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about I was still giving salute to the liberated zones of Africa. Now, salute to President Jacob Zuma of South Africa, the liberated zone, the only liberated zone in South Africa. This I mean, in terms of votes, uh, KZN, only liberated zone in South Africa from the British, from the colonial British. South Africa under the colonial rule of the British. To date, South Africa is under the colonial rule of the British. President Zuma had a speech yesterday and he spoke some other things about Floyd Shivambu, which I actually want to expand. But before I go into expanding about what President Zuma spoke about Floyd Shivambu, I want to comment about the fact that President Ramaphosa says he wants to address the nation tomorrow. This I have actually commented before. We've actually spoke about it before, but I want to comment. I want to give my opinion of what is. Let me say, President Ramaphosa's speech tomorrow is totally unwarranted and unnecessary. Normally, we've got rules in place. When you have to call this agent what, when you have to address people, it's something that people misunderstand. But if we've got rules in place how to address criminals, uh, South Africa has got a constitution which has to be implemented. If implemented, President Ramaphosa will not have to speak to anybody tomorrow. So the police are there. If somebody is suspected of being a criminal, police follow them and arrest them. So I think all the people who are mentioned as criminals, they were just supposed to be arrested and go through the the process to prove themselves innocent. So what the reason President Ramaphosa want to address people instead of arresting people? uh, they want to sanitize the issue. They want South Africans to forget about it. They want it to be the same as Palapala. The reason why President Ramaphosa will not be able to address this issue is exactly because of his own stories about crime that he's been involved in the previous, that is said to be involved in the Palapala scandal. A lot of issues there were swept under the carpet. The people who assisted him to put those things under the carpet are the ones who are at the current moment suspected of dealings with criminals and suspected of being criminals themselves. So um, it will be difficult. Under normal circumstances, President Zuma was just arrested and taken to jail, go straight to jail without trial, without a meeting, without having been given an opportunity to address anybody. President Zuma was just taken to prison just like that. So I don't understand why President Ramaphosa feels he should address the nation about the criminals. The police commissioner will address is enough to address the nation about the criminal activities and those who are arrested. The police commissioner can do that job. President Ramaphosa, what he's supposed to do is to fire his minister from his, that is his responsibility, but he's not going to do that. He's going to do a different thing tomorrow. So I think this is abortion of justice. Justice is not safe again, and South Africans are just watching this cartel taking turns on us, doing whatever they want, arresting people who are innocent and leaving those who are criminals outside the jail system, outside the jail system. Let me share a video. I want to share, President Zuma was speaking yesterday. I want to share a video about what he was saying. I was just commenting in passing that whoever is suspected of being a criminal should just be arrested without speeches. The speeches are only for sanitizing the issue, to cleanse the image of those who are suspected of crime, to make them a program in which South Africa has to spend lots of money trying to address their criminal activities. If people are suspected of crime, if there's no evidence, then they should not be arrested. But if there's evidence in place, people should be arrested. John say, royalty greetings, Mr. Mkonto. I am reporting to the class. Thank you very much, John. So I wanted to share, let me just share this video today because I want to expand about what President Zuma is talking about here.
Lezi insizwa zombili zathi uma ixoxa but angisho futhi ukuthi phakathi kwazo zombili owayesenior ubani konje uSuka bonke bothambo laba naba-recruit wawuye by the way into the organization. ngiyakhumbula ngoba uMadibuthi athanda ukuhlekisa ukuthi ngamzuka ngiqala ufika eGoli esukela emakhaya wamangale bona uSulu ebhala ngomshini le mshini yakubhala ethi qoqo emali ukuthi hawu ubhala kanjani uthinta la kuphume ngale eyiphumela le emakhaya. Into ebalulekile ukuthi uma sithi silwela inkululeko yokubuya isizwe lethu forever ngoba labuya nje half, kufanele ukuthi sizinekezele sazi ukuthi into serious la kwento encane, into serious. Abangekho serious ubabona ngokuqhashaqhasha nje.
President Zuma says to bring back our land and forever. That statement is deep because it's talking about the end of politics, taking the land beyond politics, because politics, the relevance of politics and the relevancy of politicians is when you don't have and they have to provide. So if you have and there's nothing for them to provide, then the relevance of politics and politicians become questionable. So President Zuma is talking about taking back the land and forever. This would be achieved by taking the land and giving it back to the kingdoms. This will make the land out of reach for the white people. It will be out of reach. The process to actually win the politics and bring back the politics and take back the land is going to be taunting. It's going to be very difficult. So that's why he's talking about taking the land forever. He's talking about putting the legislations or taking the land beyond the politics, because the politics will not be able to help black people.
Qhashaqhasha khona umnyakade simthatha sithi simenza umuntu bavuka ubulwana bama ngeenyawo kade sihlezi naye sikhuluma ukuthi siwanciphisa kanjani lama-political parties amaningi ngoba yiwo la wenza ukuthi singakwazi ukuthola i-majority ngoba belungu basihlakaza. Hawu khuluma impela uze ukuthi yebo sishaya isingisi lo mfo uma ekhuluma ngalokho. Waseganga asidlali-ke la noma ngabe sikwazi sikuthemba sikuthanda mawubheda sikubeka endaweni yakho. Asinasikhathi sokudlala impi akudlalwa ibhola. Uma sesithi indoda hawu wahlanya umuntu sesithi ngizophuma la hambe ngikhuluma nabona amakhosi babendaba ezitha nabanye ukuthi ayifuneki yini inhlangano na. Oh nangumuntu eseshintsha.
This is President Zuma addressing the issue of Floyd Shivambu, who was part of the MK party, who spoke with passion. I heard him in several platforms talking about the fact that we've got so many political parties which basically are dividing black people, and they were planning on how they can reduce these political parties, how they can negotiate with black people who are opening political parties to make the MK party their home, so that the black people would be able to achieve the majority which they need to change the constitution and to take back their land. Floyd Shivambu was one of the people who was very articulate on this issue. Today, Floyd Shivambu is the same person who is forming a political organization going around. Basically, that's what President Zuma is talking about here. Floyd Shivambu is going around asking if there's no need for people to for another political party. Black people have more than 100 political parties registered with the IEC. Floyd Shivambu is going around asking if there's no need for black people to open another political party, changing from his own stance, which was we should reduce or we should actually do away with all political parties and come with one majority party of black people. White people are united. The DA belongs to the British. The Freedom Front Plus belong to the Afrikaners. So what white people are united, and the two organizations are able to unite and do things together, vote together. But the political parties that belongs to black people, they can't do anything together. The political parties goes together with the white people and making white people majority in South Africa, while white people are actually in minority because people have been bought. What is happening in the MK party? I think people expect white people to announce that we want to destabilize the MK party. They don't think uh, people know that white people may sabotage political parties which are for real and for black people. But when these things are happening, people cannot realize that this is actually what is happening. In the MK party, there has been series of destabilizing events coming from the white system trying to destroy the MK party. Floyd Shivambu is one of the elements who was sent by the system to go and destroy the MK party. The MK party, when President Zuma realizes, then he removes. That's what he says when we immediately we realize we remove. I think one of the mistakes that people do is to say they will support the MK party, but when the MK party is in trouble and being attacked by the system, by the white media, they tend to agree with the white media and the white system against President Zuma, the same person who gave black people the platform to liberate themselves. Now, some other people feel they are more clever or more important than the vision bearer himself. The fact that people who are closer to President Zuma are being pushed out, I mean, under normal circumstances, who should support Zuma's vision between Floyd Shivambu and his daughter, who can do better job in supporting President Zuma to achieve what the vision that President Zuma wants under logical circumstance until maybe proven otherwise. His daughter can do a better job than Floyd, but people are saying Tuduzile Zuma should be pushed out while she's actually a strong support for President Zuma. President Zuma, the people who can support him better than any other person is his family. His family has given President Zuma South African public or to Africa. These children grew up without their father because their father was fighting for black people. Their father is still fighting for black people even today. The grandchildren are not able to spend time with President Zuma because President Zuma is fighting for black people. Who is better placed to support President Zuma in his mission to liberate black people than his family? The call to say his family must stay out, it's a call to remove his core support so that he is alone there and stripped out of his vision by the white system. One of the mistakes that I think President Zuma has made, and maybe the society is making, the placing of people who are, I would say, those who are educated in positions, those who are well trained, who are educated in certain areas, and those politicians who are experienced. First, the politicians who are experienced, their politics and their experience did not liberate black people. All they know is to sell out. So when they come with their credentials and of what they have done in the past, or whether they were involved in politics since they were 3 years old, once they bring that, people feel these people have credentials. But whatever experience that they've gathered since they were 3 years has got nothing to do, did not assist to liberate black people up to date. All they know to do is selling out. The experience that they have as politicians is selling out black people. And then we prioritize those people for positions because we think the people who are not experienced or who are not educated are not going to do a better job. President Zuma himself is a good example of this. People think those who are educated in colonial education, because whatever Floyd has, it's a colonial education. People think people who are educated in colonial education will make a better contribution to the freedom of black people. I think that's a big mistake because those who are educated in colonial education, they are educated to honor the master, not to liberate the people. So the education that they have received will not be able to assist black people. So the education that they have actually achieved, it was not supposed to be prioritized. What needs to be prioritized is the person's commitment and honesty. The rest of the things they can learn on job, but their commitment to the struggle and their authenticity, their integrity. Do they mean what they say? Or today they say this and tomorrow they say a different thing from what they were saying yesterday? Floyd Shivambu is a good example of that. Saying this and tomorrow changing to talk about this, but you still have people following him. You still have black people following him. For what? I don't know. Maybe it's because South Africa, majority of South Africans are sick. And legal drugs under illegal drugs supplied by this cartel that we're talking about, that we'll be speaking tomorrow, that Ramaphosa will be speaking about tomorrow. I wonder what he's going to say. The legal and illegal drugs that are supplied to South Africans to create a crazy nation so that people are not logical, people are not able to see the right thing. President Zuma has not been educated by the colonial masters. They don't have his thinking pattern. And he's been able to, through his intelligence, to beat the system and rise through without the colonial education and rise through to the top office in the land, which is becoming president. But President Zuma, understanding that he's been denied education, thinking that if he had received education, he would have been a better person. Because this is how they make us think. President Zuma thinks if he had received education, he would have been a better person. President Zuma would not be a better person should he had received the colonial education. Look at Thabo Mbeki, look at President Mandela, look at Ramaphosa, look at all the people who have received the colonial education. Look at Julius Malema. What is happening with Julius Malema? Look at all of the people who've received the colonial education, if they are actually assisting in freeing black people. President Zuma would have turned against black people should he had received the colonial education. But he seemed to think that because of his colonial education, uh, uh, being deprived of the colonial education, he thinks he would have been a better person should he had received and the colonial education. But in reality, it would have changed him to become neutral, to become dull, and to become um, somehow soft to the system. John says divide and conquer strategy is working for the white system. Yes, the divide and conquer is a strategy that they have started applying since they arrived in Africa in 1652, in South Africa in 1652. In Africa, they arrived in the whole of African continent. They were here since the 1400. Since the 1400, the colonial masters came to South Africa. In actual fact, the Dutch were here since the 1400. I mean, the Portuguese came here since the 1400. The Dutch and the British at the end, the Americans were the last to come and colonize us in the 1900, but started the Portuguese. So these people that we're talking about, they used to call them Amakolwa, meaning the believers. This name Amakolwa or Badumedi, it was referring to people who agreed or who had believed the white man, who actually believed the white man when he came. So these people, Amakolwa, were needed. They were needed by the kings in order to interpret what the white man is saying to the black people. When white people came in, they took some other people and educated them in their colonial education. They were first referred as Amakolwa, later became Christians because they believed the white men. But their role was very important for the kingdoms because the kings did not understand the white man's language. So these people were playing the role to interpret what the white person wanted to tell the kingdoms. So the kingdoms, some of the kingdoms ended up taken by the very same people who were interpreting for the kingdom, for the real kingdoms. Today, these are the people that we call educated. They are educated in the colonial education to interpret what the white man is saying to the black man, nothing else. If we prioritize those people in putting them into positions, then it will take us years and years to break the system because those are the people who are going to keep the system safe. Those are the people who've got fear and all they know is selling out. And those are the people who are going to keep this system in place uh, forever. Forever. If black people don't realize that we actually don't even need this, we don't need these believers of white people. We don't need, now there's not even a need of the interpretation. But when the power was handed over, the political power handed over to black people, it was not handed over to the kingdoms, it was handed over to the believers who are now referred to as the politicians. They started by interpreting what the white man was saying. At the end of the day, they were the one who were representing the white man against their own people. Today, those are the ones who are educated and put into positions. And if you don't put these people, the system will fight against you. They will fight against those people who are put into positions who are not qualified according to the colonial education, without recognition, without paying due regards to whether the individual has the capacity to carry out the work and whether the individual is able to carry out the work in accordance with what is required. They think the qualifications are the ones who are going to assist. And I think this is one mistake that President Zuma is also making, to think that the educated people are the ones who are going to save, uh, who can actually work and save black people from white people. King Shongwa is saying it is true that Floyd consulted Bushiri to take power from JZ. He was an agent aimed at stripping JZ from power and taking the MK party to the control of the white system again, making it irrelevant for liberating black people, just like the other political parties in South Africa, the other black political parties who are funded by the system and who are funded. The system itself is corrupt. The white people, when they came to conquer black people, they were criminals. They acted in a criminal way. They continued to act in a criminal way after they conquered black people. After they conquered black people, They just legalized their criminal activities. So after we were conquered, their criminal activities were legalized, like exploiting our minerals, like taking our minerals out of the country without the consent of the owners of the land, like stripping out black people of their land. Those are all criminal acts which the colonial master has engaged in. The criminals have continued with their criminal ways. Even today, the criminals are still continuing to act in their criminal way in order to sustain whatever they gained through the crime of slavery, through the crime of exploiting black people, through the crime of land dispossession, through the crime of stripping black people of their culture, through the crime of destroying black people's language, through the crime of eliminating, committing genocide against black nations. Even today, the genocide is still continuing. When you talk about the drugs that Ramaphosa is going to talk about tomorrow, is still genocide. The number of drug addicts in the streets is increasing. The number of youth who are who cannot contribute anything to the nation is becoming higher than those who can contribute, becoming zombies. Genocide being committed by the system. The people who arrived in 1652 were criminals and landless, vagabonds, devoted to plunder, pillage, rape, steal, and killing. That's a comment from, I could not have said it better. All of these ways, all of them, all of the ways that you've mentioned there, it's actually what happened. It's actually the truth. Though YouTube does not want us to mention all of these ways, they make sure your video does not go anywhere. But this is what they did to us. This is what they did to black people. So understanding with to what is happening, the chaos which is happening in the MK party, we should understand it. We should understand it in the context that the enemies of black people wants to sow divisions, wants to ensure that President Zuma does not have the support that he needs, and he does not have the. They want to make sure that the people who are pretending to support President Zuma are the people that they can control, that they have control over. So they want the members of the MK party to dictate or to instruct all the people who are supposed to support President Zuma to stay away, to make them afraid, to stay away. The genuine support that President Zuma can, and I really believe that President Zuma can receive a genuine support from his family, genuine support from his family that I expect, but people say his family must be pushed out of the MK party, and criminals who will be sent as agents to the MK party are going to take place there. Ramaphosa will constitute a commission which will be useless as TRC and Zondo Commission, Mkwanazi will be turned into a fool. Mkwanazi, turning him into a fool is better. He's not going to be turned into a fool. He's going to be turned into a criminal, into a pariah himself. He's going to be the one who is going to be in hiding, running away from the law. According to these people, they are going to appoint a, that's what he's going to do tomorrow. He's going to talk about acting against crime, and is going to appoint a commission of inquiry, the commission of inquiry, which will not inquire anything, which will actually cover a lot of the, which will be controlled. The people who will be called as witness will be determined by them. The judges who are going to, everybody who is going to, it will just be a stage thing. It will just be a stage. It will just be actors, people who have been paid already, acting the drama and taking the money. At the end of the day, they have to protect each other, because if they don't, what will happen? If they don't protect each other, then they lose the government. Because they have to. If they don't protect each other, more issues. General Kwanazi said politicians, parliamentarians, judiciary is involved in this criminality. He did not say one person. He said a lot of people are involved. Crime intelligence is involved in this thing. Government officials are involved in these things. So if they don't protect each other, then they're going to lose the government. They will have to be arrested. People will rise against them. They will bring charges because Mkwanazi has allegedly shot and killed a lot of criminals in KZN. They will find something. In the next 3 weeks, Mkwanazi will be vilified in the media. The middle class will start to turn against him a little bit, a little bit. In 3 weeks of about 6 weeks, we would have forgotten about what Sonzo Mkunu did or did not do. We would be talking about Mkwanazi, probably in the MK party. Something would come out about President Zuma or the MK party that would need the nation to talk about. Though they want us to talk about the nonsense, the issue, the national, what is the national discussion, the national, what they call it, this discussion that Ramaphosa wants South Africans to have. What is there to discuss? Because we know South Africans, black people need the land. We know all the problems. We know there's no medication in hospitals. We know all the problems. What is there to discuss? We know we need to build schools. What is there to discuss? Why can't you build what is needed? Black people need to decolonize the education system in order to produce better nations. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much, John, for helping me with this one. National dialogue. according to. Thank you very much for helping me with that one. I normally forget these things. I don't take it too serious that I memorize. I normally forget. The national dialogue which President Ramaphosa wants people to have, it's nonsensical because everything that black people need has been identified and it's known since black people were fighting. Bambata was ambushed for the same reason, which is the land. Uh, in 19, I think it was in 1903 or something, the last ambush that happened where more than 3,000 black South Africans were eliminated. The last war of resistance. What is there? What is the dialogue about if we know from the 1900 what South Africans or black people have been fighting for? Black people were not fighting for the IDs. Black people have not been fighting for the English and the Africans like they are purporting. Nomfundo Pondo says, who will arrest, investigate who? Thieves versus thieves. Thieves versus thieves is indeed. We don't know. We don't know who is supposed to arrest who, but the cases are supposed to just go to court. That's what we know. The law says criminals should be arrested. That's what the law says. So that's what we expect instead of Ramaphosa putting the nation into dialogue. We expect him to, not even him, because it's not even his job. I don't even expect him. I did not even expect him to speak about this. I expected him. Maybe he should have. He should spoke about the national dialogue and get out of this issue. This issue needs the police. The police must go and arrest if they suspect they are criminals and drugs. They should just arrest those people. They should just give them a go ahead to go and arrest whoever they are suspecting of acting in a wrong way. I think that's what President Ramaphosa was supposed to do, not talk to people about it. Why the talk? What are we talking about? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I only wanted to expand especially about the issue of Floyd Shivambu and the colonial education, which people are prioritizing, the experience of the politicians, which is useless. Basically, people are prioritizing and putting it up. Useless because they have Floyd Shivambu says boost always. President Zuma will not never boast about his political experience. He does not boast about it. He's never carrying it around because it's totally irrelevant. What is relevant now is for black people to unite and take over the land and take over the country. That is what is relevant at the moment. The sellout experience that they have is totally irrelevant. So I think maybe the MK party has been cornered to take this as serious and to think this would actually assist the MK party. But I think educated or not educated, I'm not against education. I love education. I'm not against education. Educated or not educated, can this person do the job which is needed? Can he pull out the results that are needed in this job? That's what is needed to be the focus, not the experience or not whether they are too educated. President Zuma was speaking about Floyd Shivambu saying, speaking in a very educated English, talking about the reason why we should reduce black political parties. But the same person sold out. Floyd Chiwambu himself boasts about his experience, 20 years experience. But at the end of the day, it's 20 years of experience of selling out black people. This is exactly Mkwana's frustration. How do you arrest people who are protected by the system? Uh, it's very difficult. Arresting the people who are protected by the system is very difficult. Mkwanazi is in a very difficult position uh, because it does not have the power to effect what is needed. It's very difficult. The people are protected by the system so that the system can continue to loot the resources. Because when these criminals are in those positions, they serve two parts. They help to calm the black people and they help to destroy their own people. They assist a lot in destroying their own people. That's what they call politics. So President Zuma wants to end the politics. Thanks everybody for joining the live stream. This is the Royal Opinion where we give analysis of politics better than the propagandist media stations like the ENCA, like the SABC, like the 702, all the white and the Cape FM, whatsoever is the white sponsored media. We give better analysis and a clear view of what's going to happen and maybe what should actually be happening is the royal opinion. Thank you very much for forming part of us. Click the like button and subscribe. Please click the like button and subscribe.